gonna teach me when I'm looking like cattle and they only wanna eat me? Prize possession, lies progressing, the wise see. Preacher preaching blessing, but don't see the prophecy. Keep your weapon close, study your close philosophy. When your arm too short to box with G. Lock the script, seal it in a beat, get it. Toes on the ground, put that rock to it, hit it. Asking what I'm doing, tell us about their opera business. Banging on them, raining on them, counting up. Yeah, I know they gon' be coming. Yada 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 running. We the children of the ancient name day. They ain't gon' give it, we can take it, baby. It's for the culture, yeah, the Hebrews don't play. For the vultures, tell the birds it's a new day. Get it down for the cause, what y'all say. Tell them go and build a wall, own way. I'm going home, yeah.
And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of the great day of the Most High. Okay, quick sidebar. The text we just read stated that the Euphrates River will be dried up to prepare the way of the kings of the east. So I just want to read this article really quick from EgyptToday.com. The title of the article is Catastrophic Decline of Euphrates River Water Level. It was written May 6, 2021, coming out of Cairo, Egypt. And it reads, since the beginning of May, catastrophic scenes of tremendous decline in water level of Euphrates, the longest river in Western Asia, became a meme on social media platforms. Under hashtag the Euphrates declines, Syrians posted photos of the water level of the river, showing how parts in along the river inside the Syrian lands dried up. Moses stated that the second Exodus would be greater than the first. And when we study the first Exodus and compare it to the second, we see some striking parallels, particularly in the book of Revelation. Let's consider the plague of frogs. During the first Exodus, Yah sent a plague of frogs in Egypt. It is only after some deeper research into symbolism of the frog, what it meant to our ancestors, and comparing to the events in Revelation with today's events, do we begin to understand the parallel in these last days and what it means for Israel and the world. Salah. Now let's just put ourselves in the shoes of our ancestors. They were subjugated by a nation of people who had this frog goddess, a queen of heaven, as one of their chief deities. This deity was a symbol of life and fertility to the Egyptian. She was no doubt invoked during the slaughter of the male newborn in Israel. And so, while a symbol of life to the Egyptians, she was death to Israel. Consequently, when the Most High sent the plague of frogs, he was making a statement. It was a blow to the cult of Heket. Other than references to the first Exodus, there isn't much reference to frogs until the book of Revelation. Okay, so here's where you're going to have to make some connections. There are certain terms we all know that are heavily censored, so we will have to use alternative words. With that being said, understand that the elite are still into frog symbolism and worship. Well, let's just check out this and then we'll get back to this. This is a quick snippet of a satanic ritual at Bohemian Grove performed by the elite of the world. Listen to the frogs in the background.
The owl is in his leafy temple. Let all within the grove be reverent before him. Lift up your heads, O ye trees, and be lifted up, ye everlasting spires. For behold, here is Bohemia's shrine, and holy are the pillars of this house. Breathing spiders, come not near.
Okay, some more on the cremation of care ceremony. I'll leave the link in the description for you to watch the complete video. All right, so it reads, if the year were 1996, there would be 3 spear carriers doing a little add-on part. They are former President George H.W. Bush, actor Clint Eastwood, and fabled news anchor Walter Cronkite. They are playing the parts of lakeside frogs, and they are chanting like the frogs in the famous Budweiser TV ads of the 1990s, only they were croaking cremation, cremation, cremation. The followers, talking quietly and remarking on the once again perfect grove weather, move to the left so they can observe the ceremony from a green meadow on the other side of the lake. Drinks in hand, they will be about 50 to 100 yards from the altar, which looms skyward 30 to 40 feet and reveals itself to be in the form of a huge owl, whose cement shell is mottled with primeval green mosses. This owl is the totem animal of Bohemia. found not only at the lake, but everywhere you go in the grove, and on shot glasses, coffee mugs, coffee cups, and stationery. While the spectators seat themselves across the lake, the priests and their entourage continues for another 200 or 300 yards before the altar to a boat landing. There, the beer is carefully transferred onto the ferry of care, which will carry the body to the altar later in the ceremony. Once the ferry is loaded, the torches are extinguished and the music ends. The attention of the spectators on the other side of the lake softly drifts back to the owl shrine. It is illuminated by a gentle flame from the lamp of fellowship, which sits at its base. So that's a little more of the cremation of care ceremony, where the symbolism of the frog is still in use today. Okay, so I forgot to mention that the frog sounds in the background are artificial. But now let's look at how frogs are instrumental in science today. In the medical and scientific communities, frogs are still a symbol of life, immortality, resurrection, and even fertility. Frogs were even used as pregnancy tests in the early 20th century. Look that up. But frogs are used in a much more bizarre way today. Ironically enough, it is used in what I'll just call doses. Okay, so here's one more video clip, and then an article, and then we'll take a quick peek at before we summarize and conclude for today.
In 2020, the world saw its first glimpse of a living robot. Known as the Xenobot, this microscale organism could move, self-heal, and work with other bots to meet a common goal. But all these features have gotten a massive upgrade, including memory. Say hello to Xenobot 2.0. The original Xenobots were developed by a team of biologists and computer engineers at Tufts University and the University of Vermont. These micro machines measured less than a millimeter wide and could work together to push payloads. They were formed using skin and heart muscle cells harvested from the embryos of the African claw-toed frog. The team then used a sophisticated algorithm to generate a variety of Xenobot designs. From those designs, scientists performed microsurgery to probe, prod, and shape the stem cells according to the algorithm. They had a variety of looks from tube-lobe blobs to hollow structures, depending on what task was needed for the little bot to accomplish. And they could do a lot, like propel themselves in straight lines and circles, and hurl loose particles into tiny heaps together. Now Xenobots are headed to the next level. Instead of using muscle cells, Xenobot 2.0 moved using cilia, which are tiny hair-like features that move similarly to how oars propel a rowboat through water. By extracting skin stem cells from the frog's embryo, the team then allowed the cells to self-assemble as they naturally would. They independently formed into spheres, and after approximately 4 days, some of the stem cells started to move, all due to the presence of hundreds of individual cilia along the surface of the cell. This allowed the individual self-assembled cell to freely swim, using their hairs to propel them across surfaces. The development of cilia is a perfect example of how the genetic makeup from the frog has been preserved. This makeup also has the ability to recover from damage. The original Xenobot could self-repair, but biologists have really dialed things up with the next generation. The new bots are more durable and capable of recovering from a full-length cut after just 5 minutes since injury. Additional testing has also found that 100% of injured Xenobots completely healed within 15 minutes, and then they just go back to what they were doing. Just another walk in the microscopic park. But what's the biggest upgrade of Xenobot 2.0? That has to be its ability to remember, which no Xenobot has been able to do before. This is done through an injection of mRNA into the frog embryo before harvesting the stem cell tissue. The mRNA is coded for a special fluorescent protein known as EOS-FP. EOS-FP is naturally found in stony coral and emits green light, but when exposed to 390 nanometers of blue light, it will emit red light instead. Researchers were able to prove the memory functionality by exposing a few Xenobots to this wavelength, resulting in their emitting red light while the unexposed bots remain green. By proving that the bots can be engineered to record memory, scientists are hoping to use this feature in the future to not only detect light, but also the presence of radioactive substances, chemical pollutants, and even diseases. And thinking even further into the future, the memory functionality could be used as a trigger within the bots to change their behavior in reaction to their environment. The real life applications of these xenobots seem endless, spanning everything from ocean cleanup to regenerative medicine. Researchers are now focusing on two things: the process of how cells communicate to form an organism, and the genomes needed to create more advanced living robots in the future. In fact, the team behind Xenobot 2.0 launched the Institute for Computationally Designed Organisms to continue the development of living robots that can accomplish even more sophisticated tasks. So who knows what we'll see next? Maybe Xenobot 3.0. What would you like to see these little bots accomplish? Let us know down in the comments, and if you want to learn more about the team's first Xenobot, then check out our video on that here. Make sure to subscribe to Secret for more mind-blowing science, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
So, did anybody else get that? Say it's not just me. Okay, so we inject code into the frog, messenger RNA, then extract the cells containing the code for further modification. The cells are then assembled into what's called xenobots, a man-made life form. mRNA. Where have we heard that before? I think most of us are a little more educated on what exactly that is by now in 2021. And dare I say, it sounds a little bit like the days of Noah. Okay, so here's a quick peek at an article to see what else the beast is doing with frogs, and then we'll wrap it up. All right, take a look at my tab. You see the tooltip there and the title that pops up. It reads Frog Slime Peptides as a Universal Vaccine from technologynetworks.com. All right, let me read just a little bit of this article. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can check it out. The title is Immunology and Microbiology. And it reads, a component of the skin mucus secreted by South Indian frogs can kill the H1 variety of the influenza virus. Researchers at Emory Vaccine Center and the Rajiv Gandhi Center for Biotechnology in India have discovered frogs' skins were known to secrete peptides that defended them against bacteria. The finding, published Tuesday in Immunity, suggests that the peptides represent a resource for antiviral drug discovery as well. Anti-flu peptides could become handy when, see the underline or the highlighted, are unavailable. In the case of a new pandemic strain, or when circulating strains become resistant to current drugs, says senior author Joshi Jacob, PhD Associate Professor of Microbiology and Immunology at Emory Vaccine Center and Emory University School of Medicine. So I don't want to read or rather, go through all the biology terms. They're pretty brutal, so I won't read the other articles that I have from my research. However, they do suggest that a frog peptide called uramin or a similar frog peptide may already be in use for plague treatment or the dose. Run a Google search of the term and you'll see how it's used. So, however, as we conclude, let's also note the word miracle in the Revelation text stating that the frog-like spirits or spirits of devils working miracles means a mark. Then let's recall that the stem cells encoded with mRNA present a mark by glowing as a signal or a sign. Listen, this is not a claim that this is the mark of the beast, but we are keeping a close eye on it. I mean, the creepy parallels between the cult of Hecate, elite bohemian worship with frog symbolism, and the use of frog cells and in doses, should I say, is enough to make you wonder. We have to keep in mind, though, that the key to interpreting the Revelation text about that frog or those frogs, we will know the fulfillment when we see the results of the unclean spirit, frog spirits. That is, it will go to the kings of the whole earth and to the entire world, and will cause them to gather to the battle at Armageddon. That battle is about you and I, about the true children of Zion. Could we be seeing the spirits of the unclean frogs in these doses? Let that sizzle. Shalom. We'll see you on the next one.